In this video we're going to work through and create a query. So the first thing we need to do is open up the query window, which can be accessed using this small icon at the top. This is the query window. It has 4 tabs: a general tab, a columns tab, a rows tab and a results set. So we're going to start off in the general tab. So the first thing we need to do if we're going to create a new query is come over to the query menu and select new custom query, and we're going to call it Demo Married Woman. So what we can do now is we can select that it's an individual one. What this means is that each record in your file for individuals will have a line in the query. You also have several other options. The most commonly used ones are individual and family, and you will occasionally may need to use source. The final one is fact. This is a very useful one, but it's better to work this one once you've understood the others, and it isn't quite as straightforward to build the lines, but it has a huge advantage in that if you need to search for instance for all the occupations of a person or all the residents of a person, this one has one line per fact and not one line per individual. But for now we're going to stick with individual and click create. Okay, so we now have our query. Now the first thing I'd always recommend you do is to go in and put in a description. So what we can do here is going to be list all married women with their married surname, and we can give this a title. This is what will appear on reports, and we can leave all the other settings on this page the same. The next tab we're going to look at is the columns tab. Now this is exactly what it says. It will define the columns that will go across the page. So what we've got here is, if I simply run this query now by clicking the button, we've got a list of people, and there's only one column and it just says individual. So if we return to the columns, we can go in and start adding the information we want. So in this case what we're interested in is the surname of the person that this person is married to. So we can go down to the spouse tab, shortcut, we can go down to name, and we can pick up the surname. So we can put that in. Now if we run our results set, what you'll find is that you can now see we've got people that are married to other people, but as you can also see we've got all the men. So there's nothing we can do about this on the columns because the columns are only showing you what's going to be there. The tab we need is the rows tab, and what we want to do now is exclude the information we're not interested in. So what we can say is we can drop this down. We've got added, add unless, exclude if and exclude unless. These can take some thinking about, but the best thing to do is to stick to what you want to do. So I want to exclude people, and I can come right over here and say what do I want to exclude. I can say I want to exclude sex where the sex matches male, and it's actually brought that in for me, and we can use the drop down to select when we want male or female. So what we're saying is exclude all the men. So we can add that one in. So now if we run our report, we've got a much shorter list, and as you can see all we've got down this side is women, but we've still got all the unmarried ones. So we can return to our rows column, we can say exclude if, we can come over here and we can say family as spouse is, and as you can see the operator and the value have changed to match what we're doing, and we can say is null. So what we're saying once we've added that line is exclude them if they're men and exclude them if they don't have a family as spouse. So again we can print the report. We've now got a much shorter list. Now what we've got at the moment is the columns show up that way round, and at the moment they're just sorted by whatever order because we haven't told it what we want to do. So what we can do now is go back to our columns tab, pick up the space name, and as with normal in Family Historian, there are two little arrows down here to allow you to reorder things. So let's move the space name to the top, and the other thing we've got is a sort order. So what we can do here is we want to sort them ascending, and that's fine. And the other thing we might want to do is go to the individual, again get all the given names, add that in, put that up and sort it ascending. So what we'll see now is when we run that, we've now got a list sorted by the space surname and then sorted by name. So we've now got all our married women in a sorted order, and the next stage on from that, let's say you wanted to find just all the Munros. So what we can do, again, we go back to the rows because that's what controls what we see. We can add in another exclude if, and we can come over, we can grab our selection, say the surname, and what we can say here is we can say exclude unless the surname matches. Now what we could do here is we could type Munro in, but in order to make the query more useful we can go over and say a parameter, we can type in surname. This is just a name so you know what it is you're looking for. We can add that. Okay, so what we can do now is we can run our query and it will prompt what surname we want. So we want Munro. And as you can see, we've now just got the people whose maiden name was Munro. And you might say, well, that's all very good, but I wanted the ones whose married name was Munro. So what we can do, we can go back to our rows, come down to our surname one, you can come in here, and what you can also do, because we've already got a column that we want to search on, we can drop this down, we can pick up the space surname from the second column and we can update that one. Now we can run it. Again, it's remembered that we wanted to do Munro. Now we've got all the women whose married name was Munro. I hope that gives you a quick introduction to the query and that you'll be happy to experiment. One big advantage with queries, they don't update anything, they don't change anything, so play with them to your heart's content. You're not going to do any harm at all.